I never planned any of this. I never imagined I'd be the kind of girl who would stand in the shadows, watching every movement of the man who once controlled my life, waiting for the exact moment he would finally understand what he did to me. But life has a way of pushing people quietly, silently until they break. And my breaking point was the day my boss, Mr. Cale Donovan, decided that fear was the only language he needed to speak. He was wrong, because I learned his language, and then I rewrote it. This is my story, not just of pain, not just of survival, but of returning everything to the man who thought I would stay silent forever. I remember the first day I stepped into Donovan Holdings. Cold glass walls, shoes clicking like clocks counting down, eyes watching, judging. And then there was him, Cale Donovan, the man who smiled like he owned the world and enjoyed reminding everyone that they were only renting space inside it. To everyone else, he was a visionary CEO, ruthless but brilliant, a man who built an empire from nothing. But to those who worked under him, he was the storm that never cleared. And I was the intern whose quiet nature made me an easy target. It started small. A comment here, a threat there, deadlines that made no sense, accusations that were never grounded in truth. But then came the day he crossed a line. Not physically. No. His violence was always psychological, strategic, calculated. He used humiliation like a weapon, and that day, he used it on me in front of the entire staff. He told me I was replaceable, that I didn't belong in the corporate world, that I should be grateful he even kept me around. And everyone heard it. Everyone looked away, pretending nothing happened. I walked out of that meeting with shaking hands, and something inside me snapped. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a quiet shift, a decision. If he wanted to see how replaceable I was, I'd show him what happens when the girl he underestimated stops being afraid. I didn't seek revenge right away. I watched, listened, learned. A man like Cale didn't run his empire on honesty. He had secrets the way other people had spare keys. And I began to notice things. Little moments. Little mistakes. A phone call he stepped outside for. A file he shut too quickly. Accounts that didn't match. Documents he signed with the wrong pen because his hand was shaking. The cracks were there. All I had to do was widen them. But I wasn't reckless. My revenge had to be perfect, slow, controlled. Every night, after work, I pieced together everything he tried to bury. Financial inconsistencies, faked contracts, backdoor deals, misuse of company funds. He thought I was just another scared employee. He didn't know the quiet intern had started tracing every digital footprint he left behind. And the more I uncovered, the more I realized something chilling. Cale wasn't just cruel. He was dangerous. Dangerous enough to ruin anyone who challenged him. But I wasn't challenging him. Not yet. I was preparing. One evening, he called me into his office again. The room was dim. Only his desk lamp was on. He leaned back in his chair, eyes cold, voice sharp. He accused me of making mistakes in a report, mistakes he knew he had created by changing the data minutes before calling me in. He wanted a reaction. He wanted fear. But that day, I didn't give him fear. I gave him silence. Because I already knew what he was doing. And I already knew how he would fall. His face tightened. He didn't like silence. He wanted control. And when someone like him loses even a fragment of power, they lash out. He stood up, came closer, voice rising, not touching me, never touching because physical contact would be evidence. His violence was always in his words, his threats, his tone, his intimidation. But this time I didn't flinch, because I had already seen the truth behind his empire. And soon he would see mine. When I walked out of his office, something inside me felt steady for the first time. I wasn't scared of him anymore. I was ready. Revenge isn't fire. It's ice. Precise. Slow. Sharp. And I carved every step carefully. I didn't need to lie. I didn't need to manipulate. All I had to do was let him expose himself. First, I volunteered to assist him with some accounts. He didn't suspect a thing. He liked having someone to boss around. Then I slowly created a system. A system where every suspicious transaction he made logged itself automatically, copied itself to a hidden drive, and backed itself up to a secure location he could never reach. He still shouted. He still belittled. He still tried to crush every bit of confidence I had. But inside my mind, I repeated one sentence. Keep talking. You won't be talking for long. It was past 11 p.m. Most of the office was dark. Only my desk lamp was glowing, and his office across the hall. I saw him pacing inside, angry, stressed, yelling into his phone. I didn't know who he was talking to, but what I heard through the thin walls changed everything. He was covering up a major financial leak. Something illegal. Something big. And he was blaming me for it. Suddenly, I wasn't just planning revenge anymore. I was fighting for survival. Because Cale Donovan wasn't the kind of man who simply fired employees. No. He erased them. And I realized something terrifying. If I didn't take him down first, he was going to take me down. The next morning, I arrived calm, focused. He stormed into the office ready to accuse me again, ready to intimidate me, ready to trap me. But this time, I had every file, every timestamp, every transaction, every message archived. Not leaked, not exposed yet, just waiting. I kept working normally. He kept tightening his circle. He kept making mistakes. Every minute, every hour. He dug his own grave deeper. And I just watched. It was a Wednesday. Normal. Quiet. But something in the air felt different. He called the staff for a meeting. His classic move when he wanted to display dominance. He singled me out again. Tried to accuse me of mishandling data. Tried to humiliate me in front of everyone. But this time, I answered. Not loudly. Not angrily. Just with a calmness he never expected. I told him I had the full records. Accurate. Unaltered. Time-stamped. His face changed instantly. He wasn't expecting resistance. He definitely wasn't expecting evidence. The room went silent. Everyone suddenly breathing slower. He tried to shout, but I interrupted him. And I told him something he never thought he would hear. Everything you've been hiding is already backed up, already documented, and already sent to the board. The room shifted. Eyes widened. A storm built in his expression. But he couldn't touch me. He couldn't threaten me. Not anymore. Because the truth had already spread beyond his reach. The next few days moved fast. Too fast for him. Exactly right for me. Internal investigations. Emergency audits. Board meetings behind closed doors. People whispered everywhere he walked. Power slipped from his hands with every step. The man who once towered over everyone now looked smaller, weaker, cornered. But I didn't gloat. I didn't celebrate. Revenge wasn't fireworks. It was quiet, like justice. When he was finally called into the boardroom for questioning, I saw him through the glass walls. The same walls he once used to intimidate others now trapped him. He looked right at me, and in that moment he understood. I wasn't the scared girl he bullied. I wasn't the silent intern he controlled. I was the one who ended his empire. Without violence. Without shouting. Without fear. Just truth. Just patience. Just the courage he never expected me to have. People often think revenge is about anger, about hurting someone back. But it isn't. Revenge, real revenge, is about reclaiming power someone took from you. It's about reminding them that the girl they tried to break is now the woman who stood up. I didn't destroy him. He destroyed himself. I just held up the mirror and made him look. So, if you're listening to my voice right now, remember this. When someone underestimates you, when someone tries to silence you, when someone thinks your quietness means weakness, they're writing the first chapter of their own downfall. Because the quiet ones, we see everything. We remember everything. And sometimes, we rewrite everything. This was my story. And this was his last lesson.